He said I was his only one, but he never wanted our relationship to be public. When his friends asked about me, he would laugh mockingly and say, "Scarlett Summers, I do not love her. I am only with her to get back at her brother, Harrison, for what he did to my sister, Autumn." Then he would add with a cruel smile, "On her birthday, I am going to dump her in front of everyone. I will humiliate both her and her brother." So I never went to that long-awaited birthday party. Instead, I flew to Hong Kong to accept an arranged marriage proposal. On the day of my wedding, Julian appeared at the venue, disheveled, frantic, trying to force his way in. Security stopped him at the door as he pleaded desperately, shouting that he was the bride's boyfriend. But when he pulled out his phone to prove it, there was nothing. No photos, no texts, no evidence that we had ever been in a relationship. Just revenge. That was all I had been to him. Julian lit a cigarette, his eyes dark and cold. She was so humiliated by my rejection, he told a friend. She left the country. She would not even listen when I tried to confess. Is that not enough? His friend stared at him in disbelief. "Julian, are you insane? You were in love with your sister. We are not related by blood," he replied quietly. Through the haze of smoke, his expression was hard to read. "Why can I not love her? But what did Scarlett ever do to deserve this?" The friend pushed. "It was her brother who hurt Autumn, not her. You cannot punish her for someone else's actions. Besides, you chased her for 2 years. You loved her for 3. The way you looked at her, the way you treated her. Anyone would have believed you were going to propose on her birthday." For a long moment, Julian said nothing. Then he flicked the cigarette to the ground and crushed it underfoot. "If I had not made it look real, how could I have made her fall for me? And only by letting her fall from that height. Only then could she feel the pain my sister felt." I bit down on my trembling lip, eyes stinging with tears I refused to shed. His friend frowned, his voice tinged with regret. "Are you really going through with this?" "No regrets," Julian said, lifting his glass. His voice was ice. "None at all." I lowered my head. A single flower petal floated to the floor, a single tear fell with it. No wonder he never wanted to go public in all those years. His heart had never belonged to me. What I thought was love had been a carefully crafted trap. In that moment, all my anger, all my pain, faded. I no longer wanted to confront him. There was no point in screaming or crying. That would only give him what he wanted, to see me broken. I turned around and left the gift I had prepared for him right there on the table. When I arrived home, I ran into my brother Harrison, who had just returned from a business trip to Hong Kong. He noticed my red eyes immediately. "Why are your eyes so puffy?" he asked gently. I lowered my head and wiped at them. "It is just the wind." We sat together in the living room. He leaned back and said, "I know you are going to Hong Kong for your PhD, so how about reconsidering the Ashworth family's proposal? Theodore Ashworth is a good man. I approve. You can trust him." He had brought up the arranged marriage before, but I had always refused, because of Julian. Because I had wanted to marry someone I loved. But now I was not so sure love was enough. Maybe it was better to be with someone whose background you could trust. Even if there was no passion, at least there would be honesty. Maybe I could focus on my studies without the fear of being hurt again. Mom and Dad would be at ease, too. I nodded slowly. "Okay, big brother. I agree, really." He sounded surprised and relieved. "I will call the Ashworths right away." Back in my room, I began packing. I gathered all the gifts Julian had given me over the years and placed them into boxes. I was about to move them into storage when Harrison knocked. "We are leaving for Hong Kong next Friday," he said. That day just happened to be Julian's birthday. The next morning, I stayed home organizing the paperwork I would need. I worked straight through until the afternoon. Then Julian called. His voice came through clearly despite the noise of loudspeakers in the background. He was probably at the airport. "Want me to come pick you up?" he asked. I turned him down. There was a pause, then a soft sigh on the other end. "All right, just make sure you eat well, okay? No skipping meals to lose weight." Such concern. So convincing. Later that day, one of Harrison's friends texted me, asking if I could come pick him up. My car was still in the shop, so I borrowed Harrison's. I found the room number and gently pushed the door open. What I saw froze me in place. Julian was inside, arms wrapped around another girl, playing a game where they had to pass paper with only their mouths. His hands rested on her waist. He was laughing, carefree, his smile wide and playful. The room echoed with cheers. Kiss her. Kiss her. Julian hesitated, pulling the paper away, but the girl leaned in again. Their lips nearly touched. Then he turned slightly and saw me. Our eyes met for a moment. Panic flashed across his face. I looked down and whispered, "Sorry, I must have the wrong room." I closed the door quietly behind me, but before I could take more than a few steps, Julian grabbed my arm and pulled me into an empty room. In the dim light, he held me close, lifting my chin. Jealous, I shook my head. "It is not what you think. She is my sister, nothing more," he said quickly. "It was just a game." He grinned and added, "Come on, give your man a kiss." He leaned in. I turned my face away just before his lips reached mine and wriggled out of his grasp. I looked away and mumbled, "My brother is waiting for me." Just then, the door swung open. A girl stood there, covering her mouth in surprise. "Jules, you and her." It was Autumn Sterling, Julian's adopted sister, with whom he shared no blood relation. Julian's eyes lingered on me for a few seconds before he walked over to her. His voice was calm, almost rehearsed. "I had too much to drink. I went into the wrong room. I do not know this lady well." Autumn smiled and looped her arm through his. "Everyone's waiting for you," she said softly. I said nothing. I did not look at him again. I just turned and walked past. As I passed, he instinctively reached out to catch my hand, but stopped halfway. His fingers curled into a fist. In the car, my brother, still tipsy, turned unusually talkative. He rambled on about our childhood and the time I went to Hong Kong to get my master's degree. "I am sorry, Scarlett," he said with a sigh. "I should not have stood in your way back then. If I hadn't, maybe you wouldn't have gone so far or shut everyone out. Years ago, Harrison wanted me to study business so I could help manage the company, but I had no interest. I stayed in the lab, choosing science over spreadsheets. I was alone in a foreign place, trying to build a new life. When Julian showed up, he understood me, he saw me, he supported me. For a moment, I thought about giving in to what I felt, but then I remembered. He and my brother had become sworn enemies over a failed business project, so I turned him down, politely, at first, but he never gave up. He pursued me for 2 years, never once showing frustration. "Scarlett Summers," he said one night, "you are worth loving. You don't have to feel guilty. The one who falls first is always the one who gives more. I choose to." Later, he saved my life. That moment changed everything. I finally held his hand. Back then, he told me, "For you, I am not afraid of anything, not even death." Now he said, if I didn't make it convincing, how could I get her to fall for me? The words hit like a blow. My mind went blank, and I accidentally drove the car up onto the flower bed. Fortunately, it was our own. No one was hurt. Harrison rubbed his bruised forehead and said, half joking, half serious, "Maybe you shouldn't drive again before you leave." I lowered my head like a scolded child. "Sorry, big brother, I'll take it to the shop." Wanting to make it up to him, I decided I might as well buy him a new car. At the dealership, just as I stepped into the showroom, I heard a familiar voice. "It's fine. I can test drive in high heels," Autumn said cheerfully. She was lounging on a sofa, and Julian was kneeling at her feet, carefully unbuckling her shoes. His movements were gentle, as if handling something precious. "No, you can't," he said with a firm tone. "What if you twist your ankle?" He took off her heels and slipped flat shoes onto her feet. "I brought these for you," he added. Autumn pouted but smiled. "Jules, you are such a good little brother." Julian hesitated for a moment, frowning faintly. I laughed quietly to myself. He didn't want to be her little brother. "You are so kind," she said. "Your girlfriend must be so lucky." She leaned against him for balance as she stood up. Julian remained kneeling, lost in thought. Then he pulled out his phone. A second later, mine vibrated. "Baby, I have a race tomorrow. Come, I have a surprise for you." When I arrived at the racetrack the next day, the race was about to begin. Julian had arranged for Autumn and me to sit side by side. On the track, he stood tall in a sleek black motorcycle suit, lean and athletic, drawing every gaze around him. I looked away, a hand suddenly extended toward me. "Fancy seeing you again," Autumn said sweetly. I'm Autumn, Julian's sister. I glanced down at her wrist and froze. The tattoo there looked painfully familiar. Hello, Scarlet Summers, she said, her tone light but her smile unreadable. In the past few days, I had done my research. Autumn Sterling was the adopted daughter of the Sterling family. She was 2 years older than Julian when their parents were busy. They spent a lot of time together growing up. Naturally, feelings could develop. She had gone abroad after high school and only returned recently. Julian had picked her up from the airport himself. He had been waiting for the person he loved to come home, while I was preparing for a new beginning. A cheer from the crowd jolted me from my thoughts. Julian crossed the finish line, pulled off his helmet, and blew a kiss into the crowd. Autumn laughed softly, as if the gesture was meant just for her. Julian raised the trophy and looked toward our seats. I love this summer, he shouted with a wide smile. Just like I love her. Everyone erupted in cheers. I sat still, staring at Autumn's wrist. The tattoo was identical to Julian's. I had been there when he got it, just one day after we became official. He had held my hand and teased, I am scared of needles, just stay with me. Okay, I had pointed to the design he had chosen. What does it mean? I asked. Forever love you, he had whispered. He pulled me onto his lap, grinning. I wanted it on my collarbone, so every time you kiss me, you would see it. I had blushed and pushed him away. No, don't. He laughed. Then on the wrist, I studied the symbol again now. It didn't look like English. What language is this? I had asked. French. He said quickly, his eyes flickering. France, the country where Autumn had studied. I pulled out my phone and uploaded a picture of today's race to an image recognition app. I zoomed in on the tattoo. The result appeared on my screen. It was not Forever Love You. It was something else entirely. A lie. It was quiet. No one else. Only you. I closed my eyes as a chill spread through my chest. Just then, Autumn spoke beside me, her voice light, almost teasing. He really kept his promise, didn't he? Winning the trophy as a welcome back gift for me. Backstage, surrounded by the cheers and laughter of the celebration, I discreetly checked the base of the trophy. There it was. Carved into the metal, exclusively for Autumn. My heart stung as I read those words. So this grand gesture, this so-called surprise, had been meant for her all along. I smiled silently and slowly stepped away from the crowd. 73 days left until my departure. Julian was busy trying to win over Autumn. He barely reached out to me anymore, and I stopped reaching out as well. Seeing that I had already packed up my things, Harrison wanted to cheer me up before I left. He dragged me, along with some friends, to watch the meteor shower. The hotel rooftop had a telescope set up, offering a clear view of the Milky Way. But the moment I stepped onto the rooftop, I saw them, Autumn and Julian. He was standing behind her, his arms loosely wrapped around her waist, both of them gazing up at the stars. Scarlet, come help your big brother win a couple rounds of cards, Harrison called from behind me. Just as he spoke, Julian suddenly turned around. I did not look back. I simply walked down the stairs, my pace slow and steady. Surprisingly, I felt calm. My phone kept vibrating in my pocket, most likely Julian. I ignored it. Back in the lounge, I sat with everyone and played cards. These people had watched me grow up. They treated me kindly, chatting and laughing, trying to lift the mood. Harrison returned after taking a call, ready to take over my seat. One of the older guys asked casually, "Is Scarlett really leaving?" Harrison nodded. "Let's not talk about it. I'm going to miss her." Just as he said that, there was a sharp sound from outside the door, like glass breaking. When I stepped out to see what had happened, Julian was already standing in the doorway. He said nothing. Without a word, he grabbed my wrist and pulled me down the stairs, dragging me deep into the woods. Only once we were alone did he let go. His face was tense. His voice came low and cold. "Where are you going?" I did not want any more complications before I left. So I kept it simple. I got accepted into a PhD program. I am going to study in Hong Kong. His clenched fists slowly loosened. He looked as though he had been holding his breath. I thought to myself, let it go, it is better this way. "I need to get back to my brother," I said, turning away, but Julian blocked my path. Without a word, he led me further through the woods. The trees opened into a small clearing, strung with twinkling fairy lights. In the center, My initials were spelled out in soft, glowing letters. I was going to bring you here tomorrow. He said, "Do you like it?" I looked around quietly. The place was beautiful, romantic even. But deep down, I knew this wasn't meant for me in the beginning. Then Julian pulled a folded piece of paper and a pen from his bag. "This is a time capsule," he explained. "Write down your hopes for the future, we will bury it, and in 3 or 5 years, we can dig it up and see if our dreams came true." I took the paper and pen. While I was writing, Julian turned his back and began to write his note too, slowly and carefully. By the time he turned around, I had already folded my note and placed it inside the capsule. So fast. He asked with a warm look in his eyes. "What did you write?" he asked gently. "You will find out when the time comes," I replied. He did not press me. Instead, he wrapped his arms around my waist and murmured, "Why don't you ask what I wrote?" I looked at him and asked, "What did you write?" Instead of answering, he kissed me softly, a faint smile lingering on his lips. "About you. About us." I pulled away slightly and covered my mouth, suddenly feeling nauseous. Julian, mistaking my reaction, thought I had been moved. "Have you thought about our future?" he asked quietly. I shook my head. His expression darkened instantly. "You do not want to be with me forever." I crouched down, placing the time capsule into the ground and covering it with a small shovel. My tone was light, almost playful. "Who knows what the future holds? We've been together 3 years now. Things are stable. What is there to doubt?" I paused. "Julian, don't deceive yourself with your own performance." After I buried the capsule and pressed the earth flat, he suddenly threw an arm around my shoulder, pointing toward the sky. "Look, the meteor shower has started." I tilted my head up. Meteors flashed across the heavens, streaking through the sky. Stars sparkled like scattered diamonds. The vastness of the universe unfolded above us, and in that moment, I felt how small we truly were. There is a saying, when the sky is dark enough, the stars will shine. Perhaps after leaving Julian, my own sky would begin to glow. A soft smile rose to my lips. At that moment, Julian raised his phone and took a picture of me. Later that day, he posted a vague message, "Camera turns," focusing on us in love, but there was no photo attached. I did not expect Autumn Sterling to come looking for me. She stirred her coffee slowly, finally lifting her eyes after a moment of silence. "I know about you and Julian," she said calmly. I said nothing. I knew she had more to say. "The way you two look at each other, your body language, it is obvious." She paused before continuing, her gaze now fixed on mine. "But he never shows your face in his posts, he never goes public. Do you know why?" Under the table, I clenched my fingers tightly. She smiled faintly. 5 years ago, I told him I might never learn how to love anyone. He got angry, anxious. "So he started chasing you." She gave a light shrug. "He chased you for 2 years, and was about to give up, but that day, I told him I had a boyfriend, so he confessed to you again, just to spite me." Suddenly, the memory came rushing back, that New Year's Eve at Victoria Harbour. The crowd was so dense, nearly a stampede. It was Julian who had pushed through the chaos to pull me out, risking his own safety. And that night, when a drunken man pounded on my apartment door with a knife, terrifying me beyond belief, Julian happened to be downstairs. He rushed up and chased the man away, injuring his shoulder in the process. As I wrapped the bandage around his wound, he was still the one comforting me, softly, even through the pain. "It's okay. Don't cry." In that moment, I could hear the sound of my own heart racing, and somehow, that made me accept his confession. So, it was all a carefully planned move. He had used the suspension bridge effect to stir my emotions and make me fall for him. That day, he had not been waiting downstairs out of concern for my safety, but because he was heartbroken after hearing Autumn was seeing someone else. Once the haze lifted, the truth stood clear in front of me. I tried to suppress the ache in my chest, but the pain only grew stronger. "He spent 3 years with you just to pressure me into breaking up with my boyfriend and giving in to him," Autumn said. "Scarlett, saying anything more will only make you feel worse." She took a slow sip of her coffee, her smile confident and smug. "We are both smart, you and I. You should know by now who really matters to Julian. Instead of waiting around for him to leave you, why not walk away first? At least that way, you get to keep some dignity." My hands clenched tightly as pain surged through my body. It felt as though my heart was being smashed apart, but I forced a faint smile. If you were really so sure about Julian, you would not have come to me. The man you thought was yours seems to be slipping through your fingers. Bit by bit, you pushed him away. And now you cannot stand just being the adopted daughter. Autumn's hand trembled, coffee spilling over the rim of her cup. Are you all right? Julian rushed over to her, his eyes never once landing on me. He examined her hand with concern. Did you get burned, sis? I took a deep breath and steadied myself before standing up. Julian instinctively reached for my sleeve as if to stop me, but quickly let go, reminded of the distance now between us. I am fine, Julian, Autumn said softly, almost affectionately. I am not a child anymore. His concern seemed to give her confidence. After I had taken a few steps toward the door, she called out sweetly, Scarlett, let's talk again next time. Julian turned to look at me. She gave me a slow, triumphant smile. Once outside, I hurried to the nearest restroom. My stomach twisted violently. I leaned over the sink and dry heaved, unable to throw up, yet unable to stop. Only a few hot tears slipped down my cheeks. Leaning against the cold bathroom door, I tried to pull the shattered pieces of my heart back together. When I came out, Julian was standing there. He handed me a cup of ginger tea, the warmth seeping through the cup to my fingers. His voice sounded almost scolding. You are drinking iced coffee again. You never learn. Your stomach is going to hurt. After I buckled my seatbelt, he reached over and gently pinched my cheek. What did you two talk about? You look pale. I stared at him. If you love Autumn, why did you come near me at all? He had approached me with tenderness, slowly pulling me in, layer by layer, until I was tangled in his affection. Just when I let myself believe in it, he let me drown, watching from a distance, like a conqueror admiring the fall of his prey. What had I done wrong? It felt like a swarm of ants eating me from the inside out. The frustration in me grew bigger with each breath until, finally, I snapped. I turned to him suddenly and wrapped my hands around his neck. I wanted to choke him, to stop him from lying ever again. He did not fight back. He just looked at me, eyes red, almost like he would rather die than see me in pain. His forehead veins bulged. The scent of Autumn's perfume still clung to him, and that was what pulled me back. I released him. The next second, he held me tightly in his arms. His voice trembled. Do you feel better now? What happened? He cupped my face gently and wiped away the tears I had not even noticed. Do not cry, he whispered. It hurts me to see you cry. I finally stopped, turning my face away. Julian, I said quietly, let's not go public with our relationship. He froze, panic rising in his eyes. Why? Are you breaking up with me? Scarlett, I love you. I want to tell the world about us. He tried to explain anxiously. I will announce it on my birthday, I promise. Just wait for me. Okay, wait for you, I asked, my voice low, so you can turn me and my brother into a joke in front of everyone. He fell silent. I am sorry, he said finally. You have been wronged for so long. Scarlett, please trust me. I really do love you. But if the man who claimed to love me could crush my heart like this, how deep could that love really be? That evening, I received a message from Autumn. Love you. You did not really fall for all that, did you? If I want him, he will be mine. Attached was a photo, Julian and her lying in bed together. The night before I was supposed to leave, Julian kept confirming the birthday party schedule with me. You have no idea how happy I am, he said. But he had no clue what I was planning. I will not be there tomorrow, I said silently to myself. He did not notice the change in my mood. He held my hand, his fingers intertwined with mine. Baby, I have been thinking about our future, he said. I haven't, I replied in my head. He lowered his eyes. I started thinking about it 5 years ago, when I first fell for you. So this really had been a long, carefully plotted revenge. You were always so cold back then, he said hoarsely, as if remembering the past. No matter what I did, you would not give in. So many guys were after you. I was scared you would say yes to one of them before I had a chance. He paused. But you chose me. Thank you, Scarlett. I dream of marrying you, Julian. I wanted to say, do not get so lost in your own lies that you forget even you are pretending. Later, for dinner, he insisted on cooking for me himself. I opened my phone and began organizing the recordings, photos, and other bits of evidence I had collected during this time. From the kitchen, he called out to me with a cheerful voice, "Scarlett, come taste this." He was holding a ladle, wearing an apron, and had that familiar, hopeful smile on his face. Before I could even get up, his phone rang. When he came back out, he had already taken off his apron. His tone had turned urgent. "My sister was in a car accident. I need to go check on her." As he headed for the door, he paused, came back, and gently stroked my cheek. "Can you eat by yourself?" I nodded. "Yes." He leaned down and kissed my forehead, his eyes filled with warmth. "You are being so good today." Of course I was. How else could I get rid of him and clean up the last traces of myself? After he left, I called housekeeping and asked them to throw away everything in the apartment that belonged to me. The cleaner did an excellent job. Not a single hair was left behind. I felt a wave of relief. Then a message from Autumn appeared on my screen, just a small scrape on her hand. "But he's incredibly worried. Is he like this with you too?" Attached was a video. Julian was gently applying ointment to her hand, so careful not to hurt her that he even blew on the wound afterward. I let out a quiet laugh. That cut would have healed in no time. When I returned from Julian's place, I collected all the gifts he had ever given me and arranged for a courier to deliver them to his birthday party venue. He would receive them the next day. At midnight, I was scheduled to leave on a private jet. Around 10 o'clock that night, Julian called. He was clearly drunk. "Scarlett, I miss you so much," he slurred. I handed my luggage to Harrison. "Take this for me. I will meet you shortly. Just need to finish something first." "What is it?" he asked. "Nothing important, but I have to do it." When I arrived, Julian was lying on the couch, eyelashes fluttering in the dim light. The moment I got close, he reached out, wrapping his arms around my waist, nuzzling against me like a puppy, whispering softly, "Baby, darling." He rambled on, mostly about the plans for tomorrow, how much he loved me, how he wanted to marry me. Still playing the same role, even in a drunken haze, I pulled away, feeling numb. Once he fell quiet, I took his phone and unlocked it using his fingerprint. When I opened his photo album, I froze. There were over 1,000 pictures. More than half of them were of Autumn. Even during the 2 years he had been chasing me, he had been with her, taking her to see maple leaves, watch sunsets, walk the romantic streets of France. He had taken countless photos of her, especially of her back, and the gifts he gave me, they were simply things Autumn had disliked and passed along. I thought I would be furious, hurt, betrayed, but instead, I felt surprisingly calm. I recorded the screen with my phone, then found the only 3 photos we had together. The first was the day I agreed to be his girlfriend. He had taken a selfie with our cheeks pressed together and said his wish had finally come true. The second was from my first birthday with him. I was making a wish over a cake. That night, he had whistled from under my window. I opened it and saw him grinning mischievously. We had run through the early summer night, making my first birthday wish with him. The third was the last time we watched a meteor shower, under the stars. He had pulled me into his arms and said that the person beside him was the one he loved most. Without hesitation, I deleted them all. Then I cleared the trash folder. I opened his messaging app. His pinned chat was with Autumn. My chat, on the other hand, was set to Do Not Disturb. I erased our entire conversation history. His phone was now clean, as if I had never existed. Only then did I realize the true benefit of a secret relationship. Even the breakup could be silent, on a whim. I opened his notes app. It was filled with carefully written details about Autumn's likes and dislikes. One entry, from 3 years ago, read, "I do not want to be just your brother, Autumn. Why won't you turn around and look at me? Since you are so heartless, I will just be with someone else." There had never been love or devotion, no passionate pursuit. I had simply been his second choice. A tool in their emotional chess game. I took a photo of the screen and quietly placed his phone back beside him. As I stood to leave, Julian suddenly grabbed my wrist. "Scarlett, don't go." He was talking in his sleep. I gently pulled my hand away. "Goodbye forever, Julian." Still dreaming, he whispered, "Scarlett, marry me." Okay, that triggered a memory. Our 3rd year together. I had kept it from Harrison and traveled with Julian to Hong Kong. Fireworks bloomed over Victoria Harbour. He held me close and whispered sweet nothings. Scarlett, I really like you. Back then, I had been so young, so deeply in love. I told him, Julian, swear to me, swear you will never lie to me. If you do, I will leave you. He cupped my face and said, I adore you, I will spoil you, I have no time for lies. How could I ever deceive you? Such convincing words. Before I left, I took one last look around his apartment, making sure I had not left anything behind. Then I closed the door and deleted all his contact information from my phone. The moment I stepped onto the plane, it felt like everything, the love, the pain, the betrayal, vanished with the roar of the engine. All of it faded. Love and heartbreak were just small scenes in the long movie of life. They did not define the whole story. Everyone falls for the wrong person once, cries for no reason, breaks down unexpectedly, but none of that stops us from watching the sunset or feeling the wind on our face. Ending a failed relationship is just part of growing up. Everything will pass. Consider it gaining experience. I smiled, finally feeling free, and turned to Harrison. Before the wedding, I want to meet Theodore Ashworth alone. He looked surprised. I added, actually, my parents suggested I meet him a long time ago, but I was too caught up in school. And Julian, 5 years ago, when I first came to Hong Kong for my master's degree, I politely turned down the Ashworth family's offer to look after me. I wanted to learn how to be independent. The last time I saw Theodore Ashworth was when I was 15. His family had returned for ancestral rites, and we spent a summer together before losing contact. Now, Harrison reassured me that Theodore was a good man, someone who would never let me suffer in marriage. Still, since I had agreed to the proposal, I felt it was only fair to be honest with him. I wanted to tell him that I had been in a serious relationship before, that my heart had been broken but had slowly healed. I had left the past behind. If he minded, that was perfectly understandable. Nothing had been finalized. As I spoke, Theodore's expression shifted ever so slightly. His gaze rested quietly on me, a faint smile tugging at his lips. We are both 27, Scarlett, he said. Having been in a relationship before is perfectly normal, he continued. There is no precedent for divorce in the Ashworth family. If a husband is unfaithful, the wife has every right to take all of his assets. I blinked in surprise. He looked at me, his smile deepening just a little. So once you agree to marry me, there is no turning back. My fingers curled slightly as I met his gaze. And what if, after marrying me, you meet someone you truly fall for? His voice remained calm, steady, full of quiet certainty. Scarlett, there is no what if. From the moment we marry, until we grow old, until the end of our lives, I will only be devoted to you. My cheeks warmed. Theodore stood, offered me his hand, and said with a smile, well then, let us get reacquainted, Miss Scarlett Summers. Meanwhile, Scarlett's phone remained unreachable. Julian grew increasingly agitated, pacing near the grand setup he had prepared for her birthday. The party was full of celebration and color. With a silhouette portrait of Scarlett placed at the center, a spot where she would see it the moment she walked in, every detail had been meticulously planned to create a sense of ceremony and surprise. Despite the festive atmosphere, the person he longed to see had not arrived. He had felt a strange sense of unease from the moment he woke up. Every year, Scarlett was the first to message him at midnight. Sometimes she would even sneak over just to see him, if only for a moment. She would smile at him with those crescent moon eyes and say, "It's my boyfriend's birthday. Of course I have to be the first to wish him." But last night, she had not been with him, and that morning, there had been no message from her either. He tried to scroll through his phone, but birthday wishes flooded the screen, making it hard to think. He kept telling himself she must be on her way, but as time passed, second by second, she still had not come. His fingers tugged anxiously at his tie. Suddenly, there was a sound near the door. He rushed over, his heart quickening, ready to take her hand, but it was Autumn. His disappointment was impossible to hide. Autumn's smile faltered. She asked softly, "Who are you expecting?" "Scarlett, only Scarlett." Lately, something had felt off. Scarlett had been distant. In the past, whenever they were together, she would hold on to him tightly, as if afraid to let go. There had always been an invisible magnet between them. But ever since autumn returned, Scarlett had changed. She grew quieter, more reserved. She no longer reached for his hand, no longer leaned in with the same warmth. Sometimes when Julian looked at her, he felt like they were miles apart. Still, one thing remained clear: he wanted to go public. He remembered holding her as she cried, feeling the ache in his chest deepen. He never wanted her to feel wronged. Lately, he had been haunted by nightmares, repeating the same scenario. In them, he stood at the party, humiliating her. She looked confused, then broken, her voice shaking as she asked why he had done it, what she had done wrong. He would wake in a cold sweat, heart racing. Today, he was finally ready to propose. He had even prepared a wedding dress. Hundreds of designers had worked for 6 months to finish it. He laughed at himself. If he had really intended to hurt her, why would he go to such lengths to make her happy? Last night, after taking Autumn to the hospital, he had been about to leave when she stopped him. "Do you like Scarlett Summers?" she asked. He raised an eyebrow. Autumn stood, trying to act composed, but her voice betrayed her. "You do not have to hide it," she said. "I can see it." He smiled gently. So it had been that obvious. That meant Harrison must have noticed too. Maybe now he would stop opposing them. "Yes," Julian said. "I love her." Autumn bit her lip. "Really?" Julian nodded. Then, as if remembering something, he added, "Sis, I am sorry for the past. I was confused about whether my feelings for you were familial or romantic, but I am thankful you rejected me. It helped me find the person I truly love." With that, he picked up a call from a friend and walked away, never noticing the anger burning in Autumn's eyes behind him. He was not playing games anymore. To hell with revenge, to hell with humiliation. He just wanted Scarlett. He wanted to propose. He wanted to marry her. She was his, and his alone. Thankfully, it was not too late. Thankfully, she did not know about his cruel plan from the past. No one would mention it again. He finally understood what was in his heart. He loved Scarlett Summers, even if it had all started with revenge. Somewhere along the way, his feelings had changed. Now, all he wanted was to give her the happiest future, to erase the shadows of their beginning. But when he searched for her profile picture, the chat history between them had disappeared. Everything was gone. Julian's unease grew rapidly into full-blown panic. He typed out a quick message, "Baby," but before he could finish another thought, a large red exclamation mark appeared on the screen. Scarlett Summers had deleted him. While Julian was being erased from my world, I was busy preparing for my wedding. Technically, Theodore and I should have taken things slowly. An engagement, a chance to build affection over time. But both our families had taken our birth charts to a master astrologer. His verdict was unwavering. We were a perfect match, a bond destined across 3 lifetimes. After offering lavish praise, he selected an auspicious date and urged us to marry without delay. Things moved quickly from there. I tried on dozens of wedding dresses in one whirlwind day, yet strangely, each one fit me perfectly. I could not decide which to choose. Theodore smiled warmly. "Then let us keep them all," he said. "They were made just for you anyway." Just then, a servant led the wedding planner into the room, and our attention shifted to ceremony arrangements. By the time we finished reviewing proposals and took a moment to breathe, the afternoon had already arrived. Theodore stood and pulled me gently up from the sofa. "You can nap later," he said. "First, let us go get our marriage certificate." "So soon?" I asked, surprised. He held my hand and replied, "The astrologer said this is the perfect time." In Hong Kong, the marriage registration process was different from what I was used to back home. Guided by a lawyer, we exchanged vows and rings. Rings Theodore had already prepared in advance, and they fit as if they had always belonged to us. After we signed the documents, 2 of his close friends signed as witnesses. The red seal landed firmly on the certificate, and the room erupted in applause. My family and his relatives crowded together for a group photo, the sense of celebration overwhelming. So this was what it felt like to be in a relationship everyone around you supported, to smile freely and walk in the sunlight, hand in hand with someone who was yours in the open. That night, I shared a post on social media with a photo of our certificate. Comments flooded in within moments. "Stop showing off, sis. What certificate did you get this time? Are you blind? Happy marriage. Eternal love. Wait, a marriage certificate. And from Hong Kong, Scarlett, you married someone so far away. My heart is broken. Goddess, how could you? Who is the groom? I asked my mother, and she smiled. It is still a bit of a secret, she said, but our family has already received the Summers wedding invitation. It will be next month. The news of our marriage certificate spread quickly, eventually reaching Julian's circle. One of his friends clicked on the post and laughed. So this is why you disappeared. Ran off to Hong Kong to marry Scarlett Summers. Pretty romantic. Julian's hand trembled, cigarette in hand, as the burning ash touched his skin. He did not even notice the pain. What did you say? He asked, snatching the phone, his eyes locked on the screen, knuckles turning white as he gripped it. His friend finally understood. Scarlett Summers is not marrying you. Julian did not wait for him to finish. He bolted from the room in a panic. That evening, the Ashworth family hosted a grand banquet. Theodore held my hand tightly and introduced me to relatives one by one. It reminded me of being a child, clinging to my parents, dreading the moment they asked, "Do you know what to call them?" I was overwhelmed, unsure, and leaned into Theodore for support. Everyone in the Ashworth family was gracious and kind. Each greeting came with a warm smile and a welcome gift. But there were so many people that eventually, Theodore wrapped his arm firmly around my waist to help me through it all, letting me rest against him when I needed to. Looking at everyone's smiling faces, I thought to myself, this is not bad at all. Mutual respect, shared goals. Maybe this is what marriage often becomes when the passion fades, something steady, enduring. Both families approved. Theodore would not deceive me, nor would he hurt me. I could continue my studies and my research. Later, when it was finally over, I collapsed onto a sofa, my eyes struggling to stay open. Theodore gently placed a list of betrothal gifts in front of me for review. As I stared at the small print, the letters began to blur. I did not realize I had fallen asleep, so when Julian called that night, it was Theodore who answered the phone. Julian, hearing a calm male voice instead of mine, froze. His thoughts blanked, his grip on the steering wheel tightened, his fingers trembling. "Who are you?" Julian demanded. "Where is Scarlett Summers? Put her on the phone." Theodore was not quite as gentle as he seemed. Beneath his calm exterior was a possessiveness he rarely showed. Still, he was careful not to scare me. He knew too well that if he pushed too hard, I might pull away. He had waited so many years. He could not bear to wait anymore. That was why he wanted the wedding to happen quickly. No more chances for anyone else. He never told me that he had seen Julian before, more than once. When he learned I was coming to Hong Kong for my master's program, he worked long hours in New York, sleeping only a few hours a night, just to wrap things up in time to meet me here. But he was still a step too late. He went to my university with a gift, only to see me walking beside another man, laughing and talking freely. He clenched his fists and swallowed his feelings. He did not approach. After that, every time he tried to visit, that man was always by my side. And the way I looked at him, so full of light, left no room for anyone else. Theodore even flew to North City, hiding in the shadows just to see me again. He watched us together, the bond between us unbroken, so he left quietly, forcing himself to smile, whispering in his heart, "I wish you happiness." He never expected that the man I trusted would fail to cherish me, and now, fate had circled back, bringing me into his arms again. With the gentlest voice he could manage, he answered Julian's call. He said the words that shattered Julian's heart completely. Scarlett fell asleep in my arms. The man said calmly, "Oh, allow me to introduce myself. I am her legal husband, and you are." Julian, caught off guard, blurted out, "I am her boyfriend." He had never agreed to a breakup. In his mind, Scarlett was still his girlfriend. The man, Theodore, gave a soft chuckle. "Apologies, but as far as I know, Scarlett does not have a boyfriend, only a husband. And that is me." Julian felt like he was losing his mind. It was his birthday. He had waited all night, waited until the last guests had left, waited in the quiet aftermath of celebration. Eventually, a few large boxes arrived. They were from Scarlett. Inside were all the gifts he had ever given her. She was returning everything. She wanted nothing of his anymore. He called her, again and again, But the line never connected. He sat there until sunrise, numb and empty, only then beginning to understand. Scarlett no longer wanted him. But why? He could not understand what had gone wrong. As he dragged the boxes back to his apartment, a small slip of paper fluttered out. On it were just a few words. Julian, we are breaking up, not a conversation. Not a reason, just a notification. When he finally made it home, he stumbled through the doorway and collapsed onto the couch. He slowly realized that Scarlett had erased every trace of herself from his life. She had disappeared without hesitation. This girl, once so gentle and sweet, had ended things with such cold precision. A thought struck him. He opened his phone and tapped into his photo album. The first images to appear were of autumn. He scrolled to the very end. There were no pictures of Scarlett anymore. She had seen the photos he saved of autumn, she had seen the notes, and she had misunderstood. Julian remembered her words clearly. If I ever find out you lied to me, I will disappear. And she had meant it. She had found out. She had acted exactly as she promised, cutting everything off without giving him a single chance to explain. She had ended it, completely. Julian was desperate to find her. He searched all over North City. But no one knew where she had gone. One night, he went to her old apartment, stood below the window, and whistled softly, just like he used to. There was no answer, no light came on. He waited until morning. The light never turned on. He flew to Hong Kong, hoping to find some clue, but there was nothing. Not a single sign of her. She was gone. More than a month passed. Still, he found nothing. Then he remembered the time capsule they had buried together in the mountains, in the pouring rain. He dug through the mud with his bare hands until he found it, covered in dirt. He opened his own capsule. Inside was a note. May there be no years to look back on, only deep love to share until our hair turns white. It ended with, Julian loves Scarlett Summers, morning and night. He opened hers. Inside was a blank piece of paper. She had never written anything. She had never imagined a future with him. Julian stared at the empty page in disbelief. He clutched it in his hands. And tears streamed down his face. Without her, his days became hollow, and when he heard the news, Scarlett was married, it felt like someone had stabbed a knife straight into his chest. The pain was unbearable. What crushed him more was when he called her number and a man answered. His heart plummeted, shattered into 1,000 pieces. He could not believe she had really married someone else. She must be angry. She must be trying to get back at him. He could not believe it. He immediately booked a flight to Hong Kong. He told himself the city was not that big. He was bound to run into her eventually. But Hong Kong was big enough, especially when someone was determined to avoid him. He could not find even a single hair of Scarlett's, and in truth, Julian really could not find me. Theodore, worried I would become exhausted, had kept me inside the Ashworth estate the entire time. He had even deleted the record of that phone call. I never knew Julian had tried to reach me. As our wedding approached, Theodore took care of everything. Half a month passed. There were 3 days left. The Ashworths flew my close friends in on a private jet. Theodore was busy making sure every detail was perfect. That evening, I asked him to go home early so I could have some time to chat with my friends. He agreed. Then arranged for snacks, drinks, and everything else to be brought over. Each of my friends received a different little gift. For me, there was a beautifully wrapped box. A message from Theodore popped up on my phone. Drink some warm bird's nest soup. Do not catch a cold. His care was always quiet and thoughtful, never intrusive. My friends kept complimenting him. Knowing your groom is Theodore Ashworth, we can all relax. On the flight here, we did a full background check. He is good. Solid family, successful, clean reputation. Their family motto might as well be happy wife, happy life. Our Scarlett will definitely be happy. Someone smiled and said, I am really looking forward to your marry first love later story. But another friend disagreed. You are wrong. The way Theodore looks at Scarlett, it feels deeper than that. And keeping the wedding secret until now, I think he planned this all along. We chatted and laughed until midnight. When I left the room, I saw a message from Theodore. I have been waiting downstairs. Call me when you are ready and I will take you home. Just as I typed, I'm done. A hand suddenly reached out and pulled me toward the stairwell. It was Julian. I never expected to run into him here. I yanked my arm away as though I had seen something terrible, turned, and tried to run outside, but he caught me again, his grip too tight to break. He pinned me to the door, his arms on both sides, eyes burning with emotion. Then he tilted my chin up and kissed me, rough and desperate. I slammed the food container against his chest. Are you insane? My back pressed against the cold wall. Julian's eyes dropped to the wedding ring on my finger. His jaw clenched, his voice cracked. Scarlett Summers, is this your revenge? You are marrying someone else to punish me for never making us public. You really got a fake certificate just to provoke me. I let out a cold laugh. I really am married. He closed his eyes, struggling to keep himself together. I do not believe you. I can explain everything about Autumn. It is not what you think. Julian said, I have already told her. We will just be brother and sister from now on. Come back to North City with me. Scarlett, let us go public. Okay, so that was what he thought, that I left because of Autumn, because I was jealous. I let out a quiet laugh, one filled with irony. When you were with me, you were thinking of her. I stepped back and let you two be together. And now you come looking for me. I looked at him coldly. Julian, you are truly pathetic. Always chasing what you cannot have. His eyes trembled, shattering like glass. I like you. I only like you. Scarlett, I never said we broke up, so you are still my girlfriend. I curled my lip. Did you not want to break up? Fine, I will say it clearly for you. Julian, you disgust me. We are breaking up. Does that make it clear enough for you? Dream and reality blurred for a moment. Julian's face turned pale, his eyes instantly red. No, break up. We have been together for 3 years. You loved me so much. How can you just walk away? I could not be bothered to argue. I took a step back. Think whatever you want. I am already married. Julian rushed forward and hugged me tightly from behind, his voice hoarse and pleading. Take off the ring. Okay, I will buy you a new one. I even prepared a wedding dress for you. Let us go back and get married. I turned around and slapped him hard across the face. Do not touch me. He stood frozen, lost, his eyes red with tears on the verge of falling. I cannot help it. Scarlett, I miss you so much. These past 2 months, I could not eat, could not sleep. Every time I close my eyes, all I see is you. What am I supposed to do without you? Just as he reached out again to pull me into another embrace. The door at the end of the corridor burst open, a gust of wind swept through, and Theodore strode in and punched Julian squarely in the face. Julian reeled from the blow, but recovered quickly and started to fight back. He was no match for Theodore. This was the first time I had ever seen Theodore so fierce. The gentle image I had of him shattered as he delivered blow after blow. Julian's lips split and bled, his face contorted in pain, when Julian tried to get up for another punch. I stepped in between them. That is enough, Julian. His fist stopped just inches from my face. I turned to Theodore quickly. Does it hurt? He nodded slightly, voice pitiful. A little. Might be internal injuries. Then let us go home and find a doctor. Julian stared at me in disbelief, his eyes bloodshot. You are protecting him. I am the one hurting the most. Scarlett, you do not care about me anymore, I replied sharply. Of course I am protecting him. He is my husband. Who are you to me? Theodore took the food container from my hand, then gently took my hand as well. Finished eating? He asked softly. I nodded, a small smile curved his lips. Then let us go home. Okay, my whole body aches. I tugged him toward the exit. Let's hurry back. As I opened the door, I did not look back at Julian. He stood there, motionless, swallowed by the dim hallway light. His voice was faint, almost inaudible. Weren't you the one who always worried about me the most? 2 days before the wedding, Theodore and I rehearsed the ceremony. That evening, after my friends left, we went for a walk by the river. He offered to buy me a hot drink, and the moment he turned to go, I looked back and saw Julian again. His forehead and lip were covered in bandages. He looked exhausted, his face pale and worn. Theodore really had not held back. Julian stepped forward, struggling to speak. Scarlett, I have thought it over. Get a divorce. Divorce him. I will not mind. I will not judge you. Let us pretend nothing happened in Hong Kong. Let us start over. It was like hearing the biggest joke in the world. Unless I die, I will never divorce him. He seemed not to hear. His tone softened. almost cautious. "There is nothing going on between me and Autumn. Why can you not believe me?" "Scarlett, we have known each other for 5 years. You have only known Theodore Ashworth for 2 months. Are 2 months enough for you to trust him with your life? Why choose him over me?" "Because he does not lie to me," I interrupted. "We were honest from the start. No games, no manipulation, no adopted sisters lurking in the background, just our family's support and blessings. Maybe we do not have deep feelings yet, but life is long, who knows what will come." I looked him in the eye. "Julian, I told you before, if I ever discovered you were lying, I would walk away without hesitation. Stop chasing me, I am never coming back." He stared at me in a daze, his eyes filled with despair. Then I saw Theodore walking toward us quickly, and I ran to meet him. He gently tucked my hair behind my ear, wrapped his arm around me, and led me toward the car. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Julian standing alone, his bangs covering his eyes, his lids faintly red. The day before the wedding, Theodore did not let me go out. We stayed in the study, flipping through his childhood photo albums. I pointed at one photo in surprise. "We took a photo together when I was that little," he smiled, standing behind me and wrapping his arms gently around my shoulders. "Yes, that year, your mom was pregnant with you. My mom brought the family over to visit. I was about 3 then. You were born right after we arrived. The adults took pictures and arranged our engagement. So early," I laughed, both amused and speechless. "I was just an infant." Theodore chuckled and turned the page. "I came back before starting elementary school. When I was 6, you were so tiny back then, like a little white puffball. You held my hand and called me Big Brother. There was a photo of me leaning over to kiss his cheek. My face warmed instantly. When you were 12, you were obsessed with acting," he said, grinning. "You made me play the emperor. And you were the princess." I could not help but laugh. "From brother to father. Theodore, you have played a lot of roles." He kept flipping through the album, still smiling as he teased me. "I came back once when I was 18. You were 15 then. That was the year you stopped making me rehearse scenes with you and instead dragged me into playing video games. Just like that, I became your gaming buddy." I remember feeling a little awkward at first. I was obsessed with games back then, but my parents were strict, and Harrison would not play with me, so I had no choice but to turn to you. That summer, I even dragged Theodore to internet cafes every day for a whole month. But after that, we did not see each other again. I got caught up in the whirlwind of high school and college. While he was busy juggling his studies and the responsibilities of the family business, I thought time would push us further apart, that we would become strangers standing on opposite sides of a wide river. But unexpectedly, fate tied us back together. And now, we were about to become family. Life really is full of surprises. I suddenly remembered what Julian said the night before. He asked me why I dared to commit my life to Theodore after only 2 months of knowing him. But that was not the truth. In reality, I had known Theodore for 27 years, longer than I had ever known Julian. I turned my head slightly. Theodore's breath brushed against my ear, creating a moment of quiet intimacy in the air. My throat tightened and I quickly turned back. Then Theodore spoke softly. "Scarlett, thank you." "For what?" I asked. His gaze was warm and steady. "Thank you for marrying me." On the day of our wedding, my palms were damp with nerves. Theodore held my hand firmly throughout the entire ceremony, guiding me gently through every step, under the officiant's solemn voice. We kissed, embraced, and exchanged promises of forever. After the ceremony, exhaustion hit me like a wave. I could barely stay on my feet. Theodore carried me into a quiet room and whispered, "Rest for a while." I clung to his sleeve. "Where are you going?" He squeezed my fingers and smiled. "I will greet the guests and take care of any remaining obstacles." I mumbled a soft "okay," leaned back against the sofa, and quickly drifted off to sleep. Meanwhile, the obstacle was standing outside the venue, trying to force his way in. Julian had shown up at the entrance, desperately begging security to let him through. "I am the bride's boyfriend," he insisted. Nearby, reporters immediately took interest. One of them scoffed, "Ex-boyfriend? Then you should give up already. The Ashworth family is one of Hong Kong's most influential. How could you possibly compare? Stop dreaming. It is embarrassing." Julian protested frantically. "Not ex. We never broke up, but when he scrolled through his phone, he could not find a single photo, message, or piece of evidence to prove that he and I had ever been together. Laughter erupted from the crowd. Are you serious? Not even a photo? You do not even count as an ex? This is pathetic. Julian swayed, visibly shaken, nearly collapsing to his knees. Just then, he saw Theodore walking toward the entrance, beaming with joy. "Let me in," Julian shouted, drawing everyone's attention. But Theodore did not even glance his way. Instead, he instructed the staff to distribute wedding candies to the guests. Those who received the candies smiled and offered heartfelt congratulations to the newlyweds. Everyone got some, except Julian. He stood there, jaw clenched so tightly it looked like his teeth might break. "Theodore Ashworth, you took advantage of the situation." Theodore looked at him with calm disdain and replied, "You did not cherish her when you had the chance. Now, there is no next time." Our wedding remained the hottest topic online for 3 days. But that night, nothing happened between us. We were simply too tired. As we lay in bed, Theodore told me about Julian's failed attempt to crash the wedding. I decided that it was finally time to address everything online. I had been running a popular academic blog with over 2 million followers. When Julian was pursuing me, I had shared bits and pieces of the story, though never his name, after we got together. He asked me not to go public, so I never mentioned him again. My followers knew there had been someone who chased me for a long time, but they never knew who it was. Until now, I posted our wedding photos. The reaction was immediate. My followers were stunned that I, a quiet academic blogger, had suddenly become the heroine of an online sensation. Then I followed up with screenshots of past chat logs, blurry photos of Julian and Autumn together, and even voice messages she had sent him, seductive and provocative. I blurred out their personal information, adding only a short caption, "To those I do not know well, please mind your boundaries." The Hong Kong media went wild. Even though I never named Julian directly, the clues were unmistakable, especially since he had tried to crash the wedding and had no proof of our past. Headlines exploded. "Lovesick fool kneels at Ashworth wedding. Sterling heir publicly rejected. Tries to steal bride." Julian Sterling's humiliation. No proof, no love, just regret. Comment sections overflowed with anger and ridicule. Is that Julian Sterling, the one who chased her for 5 years and still failed? Creepy and disgusting. He even had a relationship with his adopted sister while pursuing someone else. This Autumn girl is no saint either, seducing her own brother. Filthy. If I were their mother, I would faint on the spot. The scandal spun out of control. The Sterling family tried to silence the media, but it was too late. I turned to Theodore and asked, "Was that you?" He nodded without hesitation. "Yes." I could not help but laugh. "You are more cunning than you look." He raised one eyebrow and smirked. He deserved it. Eventually, my brother learned the whole story. Furious, he said, "Why did you not tell me? I would have beaten him up." Now that everything was behind me, I told him everything without holding back. He sat silently for a moment, then frowned and said, "Autumn told me he did it all for revenge." "For her?" "For who?" I asked, laughing suddenly. My brother looked completely confused. I was popular back then. A lot of people confessed. How would I remember her? It turned out that Julian and Autumn had plotted revenge against my brother. But the joke was, he did not even remember who they were. They had been planning for years, and he had completely forgotten they existed. How absurd and laughable it all seemed. But as the topic came up again, it stirred a memory in Harrison's mind. That scumbag. He had dared to hurt his sister. Well, he was about to learn that things would never be easy for him again in North City. Harrison immediately made several phone calls. From now on, cut all cooperation with the Sterling family, every one of their projects. Take them, block them, outbid them, use every means necessary. Let him understand what it means to have made a true enemy. And just like that, Julian had officially shot himself in the foot. Before the new semester started, I took Theodore with me to North City for a short visit. Along the way, we met up with some old friends. At one point, I stepped out onto the terrace for some fresh air, and there he was, Julian. During that time, I had heard whispers about the Sterling family's situation. It was not good. Their stock price had dropped significantly. Internal conflicts tore through the family. They had even issued a public statement severing ties with Autumn, stating that their former adopted daughter would never be accepted into the family through marriage. Autumn had schemed endlessly, only to end up with absolutely nothing. As for Julian, the projects under his charge were being rejected by one company after another, all due to the negative press surrounding the family. Rumor had it he was even attacked one night by masked assailants. The day he was beaten up, my brother called me over and over, chuckling each time, but saying very little. I could tell he was pleased, seeing Julian now, his pale, drawn face, his exhausted expression. All I could think was that he deserved it. He walked slowly toward me, his eyes slightly red. I did not know Autumn would go that far. I am sorry, he said quietly. I'm sorry I disappointed you during that time. But Scarlett, I swear, nothing ever happened between her and me. Is it really unforgivable? I looked at him calmly. Julian, while you were in love with her, you pursued me, and after getting together with me, you still could not let her go. In the end, just like her, you are left with nothing. His lips trembled. He placed a hand over his heart. Right now, I only truly love you. I kept my voice steady. If Autumn came back to you, would you take her back? He shook his head firmly, pain etched across his face. No, never. I gave a slight smile. Then we are the same. You came looking for me, but I will not go back with you. Now you understand how I felt, don't you, when you realize something is a mistake? You do not keep chasing it. That is why I cannot choose to walk toward you again. Tears began to fall from his eyes. But for those 5 years, I loved you. I really did. Why did you have to retaliate? Why ruin my reputation? I met his gaze coldly, because I overheard your conversation. From the very beginning, you were lying to me. You pursued me for revenge. You planned to humiliate me at your birthday party. Can someone like that have genuine feelings? His face turned pale. All I did, I continued, was give you a taste of your own medicine. And now you cannot handle it. He stood frozen, stunned, then laughed bitterly. So this is what it feels like, to be tricked and hurt by the person you love. His eyes searched mine again, this time with a flicker of desperate hope. Scarlett, if you wanted to humiliate me so badly, does that mean you still care? Do I still have a chance? I slowly raised my hand, showing him the ring on my finger. The entire world knows I am married, and I will never get divorced. Later, Julian was seen rummaging through trash bins, trying to find the gift I had thrown away that day, the one I had once made for him by hand. It was a small box of preserved flowers, now weathered and damaged by time and carelessness. When he finally found it, he brought it to me. I took it silently from his hand, walked to the edge of a rushing river, and without a word, threw it in. Then I turned and walked away, back to Theodore, who was waiting for me. Flowers always turn toward the sun, and people move forward. Time repeats itself. But I was ready to face the next bright day, hand in hand with the person beside me. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, so feel free to share your opinions. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great stories. We'll see you in the next video.